Hello, I'm Imara Jones, host of a series of conversations here on behalf of FSTV at the People Summit, where we are talking to the amazing collection we have of thought leaders and activists to get their insights on a lot of the pressing issues facing progressive movement, Democratic Party, and the world. Right now we are joined by Alexis Edelstein, who is one of the founders of Berniecrats of California, to talk about the Bernie movement inside of the Democratic Party and just the future of activism with that as a consequence. So Alexis, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Imara. Thank you for inviting me over.
I've had the pleasure of talking to a lot of different thought leaders, Bill McKibben and Katrina vanden Heuvel and a lot of other people to come. But a part of this is talking to people like you, because you are the future and a key part of why this gathering took place. I'm wondering if you could just describe for our audience, what is Berniecrats of California? I mean, I think you could probably figure it out. And why would there need to be a Berniecrat? Why wouldn't you just have Democrats who support Bernie Sanders working inside the Democratic Party?
I think it's a great question. It's kind of a two-sided question, right? First of all, why Berniecrats? We wanted to find a way to help unite the movement and the ideology that we follow as far as Bernie's positions on different issues. And also the part with Kratz, because we are part of the Democratic Party, at least we're trying to be, because we understand that we have to work from within the party as well. So I think that's where kind of the name really comes from, and it helps identify us as, as a group or as a faction, however you want to call it.
Right.
Now, the reason I started Berniecrats of California was after I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders in California, and after the DNC in Philly, we were a little bit, disillusioned, and we all started kind of talking, seeing what we could do. Now, there was a group of people that said, hey, why don't we try to take the California Democratic Party and put a progressive there to lead? And so Kimberly Ellis, who was running, started reaching out to different people within the Bernie movement, and one of them was Karen Brunell, and she's now the chair of the Progressive Caucus in the Democratic Party. Karen started organizing the delegates for Bernie Sanders from Philly and saying, hey, why don't we organize and try to take the ADEM, which is the Assembly District caucuses in January. Now, these are part of the people that vote for the chair of the Democratic Party in California.
Right, and just to interrupt, like what you're talking about are actually the mechanics of how things work on a local level to change political processes. You're talking about delegates, you're talking about people running for assembly seats. Oftentimes people get caught up in the national races or congressional, but really kind of the root and branch of change and activism and political dynamism is what you're describing.
Exactly, it's from the bottom up, right? I mean, you can get somebody on the top and push it all the way down, but really there's so many different levels that you've got to kind of get through. And
that's right.
The reason for Berniecrats of California then was we needed a way to help organize, and part of what I was working on was getting out the vote. And we needed to have an organization to do that. So that's where Berniecrats of California came into fruition. And it was using texting that we were using to get the vote out for Bernie Sanders, and trying to see what we could do to up the people that went to vote at these caucuses that no one really knew about. And in some places we had tenfold of people show up. And there's 80 assembly districts in California. In the past, some places only had 50 people show up, and some of them had 700 now. So that was part of the reason for starting as Berniecrats of California, and it's kind of progressed into how can we start bridging the divide as to where the establishment or the quote establishment has an advantage, which is on money and having the machine, and how we can shrink that disadvantage, and by bringing infrastructure in there and tools as far as like IT and different social media aspects into the mix.
Right, so it's the merger of kind of technology and old-fashioned shoe leather organizing, boots on the ground with this technology. One of the things that you said to me in terms of in our sort of pre-conversation is the fact that although you wouldn't necessarily look at you and know it now, you have life as you have an MBA, you worked in marketing, you worked for sort of corporations in the private sector, and one of the things that shocked you was just the lack of data available. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about the need to fold in those new processes, because what's happening with people like you who are coming into the party is actually a new way of doing politics by bringing in skills from elsewhere to make change.
Exactly. So I came into the political realm when Bernie Sanders was involved. And the campaign came to California, and I wanted to get more involved and volunteer, and so we started meeting with the campaign, and it was, can we canvass, can we phone bank, can we text, etc. And there was such a lack of information. What I mean by that is, who the voters are, what their issues are, how likely are they to go vote. It was very basic. There wasn't a lot of knowledge, and we didn't know how to reach them. We didn't have like what we call a prime prospect when it comes to marketing. Now, my history in marketing, we know everything about our consumer, i.e. voter. We know what time of the day they purchase a product. We know how likely they are to purchase a product, to do a repeat purchase. We know what other products they purchase. We know where they do the shopping. And so what I saw was like, there's a huge opportunity here, a huge gap. I mean, I'd say it's 10, 15 years behind the times, what you see in the political realm as to what you see in private industry. So that's where I started reaching out to different progressive IT personnel in different groups to see, can they help develop the tools that we need in the ground? Yeah. Because I've got the connections within the the grassroots, the activists, the organizers, and the candidates in California. That's where we have a competitive advantage because we have the drive and the vision to actually go out and do this. And our disadvantage is when it comes to the overall machine and the money in there. So this is a way to add value and a way to help really champion those progressive activists and organizers.
You mentioned a couple of times challenges in the machine, meaning the traditional Democratic Party establishment, and there was a bit of a kerfuffle in the California Democratic Party recently in the election of chair. Can you just talk about what your experience was in that race?
Okay, so I don't know how much you want to get into this, but in a nutshell, we had
high level.
Kimberly Ellis running as a unifier. She was actually a Hillary Clinton supporter in 2016 in the primary, and she brought in people from the Bernie Sanders side of the party, and so it was really a unity ticket. It was very progressive, and going up against Eric Bauman, who was your basic, like machine politician, kind of leads by fear, etc. So we had the elections in Sacramento, and what ended up happening was Bauman ended up winning by 62 votes in a contested election, which is now being appealed. And there was a lot of indiscrepancies when it came to the votes. A lot of people where you had to sign, there's no ID, so you kind of had to sign off for your ballot. Where signatures may have been missing, the signatures weren't matching, where if someone had sent a proxy, because we could send a proxy, it wasn't a proxy necessarily from your assembly district, so it didn't match up, it needed to be there. So there was a lot of indiscrepancies, and what we're asking right now is for an independent audit so that we can really be sure of who the winner was. And if the winner was Eric Bauman, then great. I mean, it'll help us move the party forward and consolidate and unify. But without knowing that, with that shred, that veil of, that shadow, it's going to be impossible for us to really come together because we really suspect that there's a lot of foul play at hand.
Right, and I think that overall, unfortunately, we don't have that much more time to chat. We could probably do an hour on this. I mean, in that nutshell is the collision of these forces that you were talking, right? About the energy that activists are bringing, new technology, new perspectives to try to change the party, and a collision with the establishment, as you were saying, and how that's playing out. And sort of the key to how that's resolved is probably the key to how the Democratic Party can come together to be an effective political force.
Ideally, that would be the best outcome, because if you look at the Democratic Party, not just in California, because our voter turnout in areas like LA is extremely low, but the party as overall at a national level, right? They're at the worst place they've been in over a generation. It would be great if they embraced the new energy coming in and the new ideas coming in, but it really feels like they are putting up a wall where they're trying to protect their own power, and they're shrinking and shrinking, and it's like they don't want to comprehend or allow, this, we want to come in and help. We don't want to come in and destroy. Right. But they're making it that much more difficult, and that's really unfortunate, because we really do see a lot of issues and a lot of things at hand that we really want to start dealing with right now.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Alexis, for talking to us as an activist. Really appreciate it, and look forward to what unfolds as you continue to transform the Democratic Party.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.